Hi, this is Liam from the Dirty Muddy 30s blog, and we've recently received an Epson Runsense 810 GPS and heart rate sports monitor, running watch, however you want to call it, to review. Now, normally we always thought that Epson just did printers, but it seems as though they also do their own running watches as well. So as part of a Facebook advertisement, we applied to take ownership of one and do a bit of a review to see how we got on and what it really was in terms of in comparison for us to our usual choice, which would be a Garmin. We currently have a couple of Garmin Forerunners, myself and partner Gemma, which we use quite well, but we're always looking for a new tool for training. And the test of the Epson Runsense SF810 sounded a good idea for ourselves as obstacle racers. We're always looking for something that we can use for while we're racing, and at the moment we're not particularly sure on testing our own watches in the mud, underwater, and the kind of conditions which you would generally find in an obstacle race, whether you've heard of Tough Mudder, or as Gemma calls it, Pussy Mudder, or whether you're going to do something along the lines of Spartan Race, or even if you've just done Tough Guy and signed up for next year's, having seen everyone else doing it. Completely nuts, but absolutely good fun if you ever fancy trying one. Now, for obstacle course races, we're looking for a watch which is going to be waterproof. So the Runsense is waterproof to 40 meters, which is always going to be good for the kind of things that we're going to be doing. So our initial thoughts on the watch, looking at it initially, it's kind of a bit plasticky. It looks as though it's you've just got it off Skeggy Market, a $9.99 special. In fact, it's probably a $5.99 special on there if you're lucky, 2 for a tenner. Bit plasticky, especially for a £200 watch. If say you compared it to Garmin's equivalent, the Phoenix, which you can get, say, on Amazon for about £200, and that looks a little bit more impressive as a piece of kit. I've not got hold of one of those, but certainly from photos and from the images that I've seen, they do look pretty special. They're also, as you can see below the join for the watch and the strap, there seems to be some kind of point where the strap kind of hooks inwards, which seems a little bit peculiar. To me, it seems like there'll be a point of weakness there in the longer term, which I'd be worried with a strap, but I could well end up with something a bit more secure anyway, longer term, certainly in terms of for grip. But we like the ventilation aspects of it. There's lots of holes on that strap for water to get through, sweat to get out, and it's a rubberized strap, so it's not going to take on water in any of our events. Obviously we dislike that it looks a little bit on the cheap side, but we appreciate it's going to be a case of what's inside the watch, and what it can do. So for the money, we'd expect a little bit more for the appearance, but on the same time for the exterior, that's not a big factor in it all. Most of the time we're going to be wearing it when we've got a sleeve covering our arms, or we're knee deep in mud, and frankly you probably won't be able to tell we've got a watch on. The other downside of it, we'd like to have seen it come with a screen protector. There was plenty came in the box, or a plastic package as you can see, which doesn't look to be best for recycling. We'd like to see maybe a cardboard box with it come in that could simply go into recycling, as opposed to a polymer case. In the box we received, obviously, the box, instructions, as you can see, in German, English and French, so there's plenty there to keep you going. Also comes with a smart guide for getting yourself up and running, getting onto the software, and a 1990s style charger. Normally something along these lines you would expect something like a micro SD charger, but as it is, we get a rather chunky charger. One of our weaknesses with Garmin is certainly with the 210 sports watch that it doesn't make a good enough connection with the watch and the charger. So this seems to be quite a solid structure, good solid connection. So all being well, over the longer term, that will pose better longevity, as opposed to say something where I know my Garmin bike computers, they tend to come with a micro SD, which will make it a little bit more interchangeable with other devices. And say if you ended up at work and you could borrow someone's phone charger for the run home, things along those lines. Looking at the appearance, it's quite on the chunky side. Feels relatively lightweight. The only downside of that is I've got quite narrow wrists, so over the longer term, certainly while running, it might not be the most overly comfortable, but we're going to give it a trial and see how it works from there. And then we can start doing some tests and post a few more videos. So far, been fairly happy with the service we've got from Epson. Again, it's not a printer, but at the same time, we're looking forward to testing it and seeing how far it will go and where it will take us. I've got the Wall Ultra Marathon that I'm starting picking up my training for, so I've got plenty of running to do. And also we'd be looking at testing it certainly in the CrossFit box, seeing how it performs in that manner, as well as on the bike. I quite like the idea of having a watch from the bike instead of a Garmin style on my on a stem mount or on my handlebars, which if I'm mountain biking, it's going to potentially give me something else to look at instead of the trail. And I'll end up over the handlebars if I'm not careful. So certainly for when racing, I can simply have it under an arm warmer and it's going to be there and recording everything I need. The other side of things is it comes with a optic heart rate checker. So as you can see on the underside of there, I'll just bring it up to the camera, there is a very, very small and a window in the back of the watch which is designed to take your heart rate. So it'd be interesting in comparison to a heart rate strap just how well it takes the measurements. So we'll see how it performs over the next few weeks. Thanks for listening.